You may remember a famous photo posted of Elon Musk leaving the White House with a black eye on May 31st of this year. The left propaganda machine went wild that this was proof that Musk was part of the Black Eye Club, which is a secret initiation ritual among elites, celebrities, politicians, and power brokers, where participants receive a deliberate black eye, often on the left side, as a mark of allegiance, submission, or transformation. Musk maintained that little X did it, but I'm sure he knew the attention it would get, and he and Trump just love to troll. What if I told you that there's a different black eye program that is right in Musk's wheelhouse? Not only that, but the black eye was on his right side as opposed to his left. But listen to this and tell me what you think. If you understand how we have been doled intelligence drops over the years, I'd like you to direct your attention to number 17, post number 2615, dated December 12, 2018 that you are seeing on the screen. The question posted by an Anon was, should we be prepping for some kind of shutdown? Since we've had 2 government shutdowns, it appears that there is generally no preparation for government shutdowns that are necessary, but the response gave us additional guidance regarding fear-based reports of a potential power grid shutdowns, and this is what number 17 responded to. Listen carefully, the response was, no, reports of power grid attacks and 6 months of prep should be disregarded. While attacks do occur, we are safeguarded by a black eye. So then I did some research for any secret operations known as black eye, and guess what? I got a hit. You won't hear this one on CNN or Fox. This is the type of hangout disclosure that the legacy media practices, and this is just one of the many truths that they exist to hide. Post number 2615 is referring to protections for critical infrastructure like the power grid. It evaluates space-based defenses and provides a forward-looking analysis. While the media controllers paint black eye as a conspiracy theory, it aligns with verifiable U.S. resilience strategies which are deliberate, coded practices used to signal endurance against external threats. The report concludes that successful large-scale attacks are unlikely, and any disruptions would likely serve controlled strategic objectives. The fact is that black eye refers to a classified U.S. military or intelligence program protecting critical infrastructure, particularly the power grid, from cyber, physical, or electromagnetic pulse threats. This has nothing to do with the Black Eye Club involving elite rituals. The U.S. power grid is comprised of 7,300 power plants, 160,000 miles of transmission lines, and numerous substations, all of which face documented risks, including cyber attacks such as Russia's 2015 black energy malware in Ukraine, as well as physical attacks such as the 2013 Metcalf sniper incident in California. However, federal standards and agencies provide robust safeguards against such attacks, so please don't allow thoughts of a dark attack that will disrupt our lives into your consciousness. There are mandatory cybersecurity and physical security requirements for bulk electric systems. These include risk assessments, intrusion detection, and substation hardening. DOE and GAO reports include the 2022 Department of Education National Transmission Planning Study, which recommends microgrids, AI monitoring, and EMP-resistant designs. Also, a 2017 GAO report highlights DHS-led efforts to mitigate cyber risks to SCADA systems. The CISA, or Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, also coordinates public and private defenses, including the Joint Cyber Defense Collaborative for real-time threat sharing. These measures ensure that localized incidents do not affect nationwide coverage. But what about attacks from technology that are deployed in the outer reaches of our planet in space? Well, they have that covered too, guys. Orbital and space-based defenses are crucial, and the Black Eye connection plays a significant role in this realm. Black Eye is an orbital, space-based defense system, a declassified Air Force study from 2018 titled Operation Black Eye focused on disabling enemy satellite sensors. This document was referenced but not published, and it likely stems from historical programs like the U.S. SAINT initiative. Such a system could certainly prevent space-initiated attacks on our infrastructure. When you consider today's state of technology and the infiltration of space that has been secretly occurring throughout the years, this is a very comforting report. It is more likely that any attack on the power grid will occur with advanced technologies rather than gaining access to physical facilities. Adversary satellites such as the Chinese Beidou or Russian GLONASS could relay data for targeted strikes, like jamming GPS signals to disrupt grid synchronization or directing EMP-like pulses. However, sensor disablement via lasers or RF jamming would prevent remote infiltration, allowing time for redundant ground protections to activate. This mirrors DoD concepts of space domain awareness and threat denial. Real initiatives do exist, and they are contained within U.S. Space Force programs. Let's take a look. SpaceX's Starlink constellation, with over 6,000 satellites as of 2025, provides independent, low-latency connectivity, serving as a backup for grid operations. They conduct real-time monitoring of remote assets, such as wind farms load balancing during peaks and coordination for black start recovery after outages. In Ukraine, 42,000 terminals have sustained attacks and undergone grid repairs. Then there is the Starshield variant, which is a DoD-customized version with encryption and anti-jamming features developed under a $28 million Air Force contract. It supports CISA cyber responses and FEMA disaster coordination. Established in 2019, the U.S. Space Force, which we've budgeted $29.6 billion for in 2025, focuses on protecting U.S. satellites while countering threats. Though at this point, intelligence points to a complete disarmament of all nuclear weapons worldwide. The Atlas system, operational as of September, tracks 27,000 orbital objects using integrated sensors, enabling rapid threat response. The Space Development Agency's PWSA deploys swarms of small LEO satellites with optical links for jam-resistant data relay, ensuring network survival if individual assets are targeted, preventing signal disruptions. Also, the Meadowlands EW system was deployed in 2025. It offensively jams enemy communications via anti-jam waveforms. Onboard radar receivers detect approaching threats. Aggressor satellites have been used for live simulations and were launched in 2025, and partnerships support over 100 new satellites. These capabilities make widespread satellite disruption, and consequently infrastructure attacks, highly improbable. Threats are real but contained, with no expected nationwide blackouts, just like 17 said. So in fact, there's a very low risk of successful attacks due to these strategic implementations. Clues from ex-post analyses imply Starlink deployments and USSF advancements discuss a multi-layered defense, making large-scale infrastructure attacks unlikely to succeed. Redundancies like microgrids and proliferated satellites and preemptive tools, such as Atlas and sensor jamming, neutralize threats before escalation. Historical incidents like Metcalfe or Ukraine show containment is feasible. 2025 DHS alerts on SCADA probes have prompted swift mitigations without disruptions. If disruptions do occur, I want you to remember that sources suggest they will be deliberate white hat operations, which are controlled events by patriots in military and intelligence roles to advance the strategic plan. This aligns with President Trump's references to a golden age of prosperity, including energy independence, economic reforms, such as Nasara Gasara, which involves a wealth redistribution, and technological releases, such as advanced energy and healing measures. Potential scenarios include short EBS, or emergency broadcast system blackouts for system upgrades using Starlink for selective continuity to expose adversaries and transition to a resilient infrastructure. By 2030, decentralized grids and orbital networks will enable an era where scarcity is reduced and prosperity is coupled with advanced security. So, in Elon's case, the black eye really stands as a symbol for effective, though often unrecognized, U.S. protections that make grid attacks pretty unlikely. Ongoing investments in ground, cyber, and space defenses, strengthened by private sector innovations, are pointing toward continued stability. A 2017 GAO report on grid cyber risks highlights the involvement of the Department of Homeland Security, but they don't specifically mention the Black Eye program. There's also a 2018 declassified Air Force study called Operation Black Eye, which is about disabling enemy satellite sensors. So, to sum up, while grid threats are well documented, systems are in place to prevent unauthorized disruptions. All information does point to an elite Black Eye initiation into the club of those that have submitted to Satan for fame and fortune. But Elon's Black Eye suggests another cryptic clue that points to Elon and his SpaceX program being a critical player in the future of our world. Let me emphasize that currently no public blackouts are expected, and if they do, it's highly likely that Black Eye protections assure that it will be a planned and necessary blackout rather than an attack on our infrastructure. So there's no reason to worry, and this post is just one more validation that the Patriots have everything under control.